AUS Silver Jubilee Podcast, presented by the MCM Department and the College of Arts and Sciences. Silver Jubilee Podcast.
Hello and welcome. Joining me today is Ms. Lynda Ataya, who is the Registrar at the American University of Sharjah. Ms. Ataya has been at AUS for the past 25 years. Let me begin by asking you if you can recall your first memory of AUS.
Well, that's kind of two questions here, because when I started at AUS, it was in January of 1997. The campus was under construction, so the office was on King Faisal Street in Sharjah, and applicants would come there to submit their applications. I was hired by the AUB, the American University of Beirut, as they were a team of maybe 6 or 7 people that came from AUB to help establish the university, to put in its majors, to make the course offering, to hire faculty, all other positions that needed to be hired, librarians. And I began working with the registrar who came from AUB. His name was Dr. Fuad Haddad. And because I was a teacher, I was teaching in a private school, high school sciences. They hired me, I think, because I could let them know what schools to go to. I knew a lot of the families in the UAE, as I've lived here since 1975. And I worked with them, going around to different schools, meeting different parents to encourage them, or telling them that, yes, this will be a wonderful American university. Then sometime in February, they took the team to the site of the AUS, and driving from King Faisal Street, it seemed as though we drove and drove and drove out into the desert on roads that they didn't exactly have sand dunes over them, but they had sand drifts, and we were dodging the sand drifts. There were just no cars. It was so far out. Where now it's just a huge area of housing and buildings, etc. So when we came out, all we saw were foundations. A lot of people working, it was only foundations, and I'm going, oh my goodness, how will this be open by September? But my goodness, it was open by September. Not every building. What is now currently the Performing Arts building used to be the School of Business. That was the first building open, and the chemistry building for the labs. So we were able to have all the classes, pretty much offices and classes were in the business building, and sciences were in the chemistry building. The main building did not open until the almost summer of 1998. That building was open. One of my early memories would be when the campus opened. Of course, the dorms were not ready. We had 4 girls for the dorms. 2 came and stayed with me. So they stayed at my house for 2 weeks as all my children were off in university. And it was really nice having them. They would ride to work with me in the morning and come by my office at 5 o'clock and ride home with me.
Well, you went on campus that September. Could you describe what the campus looked like when you joined?
Well, you couldn't park up close. There were no parking lots yet, not even one parking lot. So we were just kind of parking in the sand around the buildings. And behind the business building, not far off, maybe 300 meters, there was an encampment of goats. A person had one of those fences made out of the stalk of the palm leaves, and they had goats, and lamb, I guess, were in there also. And they weren't living there, but they would come every day to take care of them. So that's now gone. Camels were everywhere, all over campus. Some of the faculty would complain because the camels would get into the garbage and scatter it around.
It's impressive to see how far AUS has come. So you said the parkings were pretty far off, the dorms weren't really made then, and the buildings were sort of different than now. What are some other challenges that you encountered when you first joined?
I would say advising the students, and so many students didn't have the TOEFL scores needed for entry. They had to take their placement test. and where now students can register online. Back then, it was done, they had to meet face-to-face with an advisor, which was faculty, who would advise them. And then one of the ladies from the office of the registrar would go in and register the students. But obviously, once we got so big that the office of the registrar couldn't handle registering all the students. And luckily, by fall 2000, we were on the Banner student information system where students could register themselves. And then a lot of students will have a hold, even though I send out emails every semester reminding them when registration will open, clear your holds, because if you owe over 500 dirham, they will have a hold on you, and then you cannot register. Advising hold, if you haven't seen your advisor, just many kinds of holds that need to be cleared.
And you see that these challenges were back then and now the same with the registration?
Well, we were so much smaller, and I guess it would be the same because there wasn't that much being offered, because you can imagine that the first year was only first-year classes. We didn't take any transfer students. We're not offering any sophomore level or junior level courses. So as courses being offered increased as the years went by, because the first year freshmen became sophomores and juniors and seniors, and that's when those courses would have been offered.
I know you've been at AUS for 25 years, but how long have you been in your current position as registrar?
23 years. So the first registrar, who came from AUB, he stayed for 2 years. He had already retired from AUB. So after 2 years at AUS, he retired. He was a super registrar. I learned everything from him.
Seeing as you've been in this job for a relatively long time and you've seen all kinds of students join AUS and you've seen how AUS evolved, what is your favorite part of the job?
Well, favorite part is probably just meeting with students face to face. If they come to my office, that's the only time I do get to meet them. But it's good to hear what problems they're facing, try to solve them if it's possible.
Tell me more about your fondest memories of AUS.
Well, I think the Office of the Registrar is probably the best place in the entire campus to be working. We're a group that we have been there from the beginning. The Associate Registrar, Lynda Ataya, she joined in 97 also, but September 97. And other ladies in my office have been there 20 years, 18 years. And we really do have a close relationship, kind of as a family of registrars.
I know that every year there's more students coming in, and you get a lot of people that are asking questions and need help with registration. But what is your busiest time of the semester?
It's kind of all year. You get a little bit of a lull, maybe in week 7, 8, 9. Then the rest of the time it's very busy at registration. It's extremely busy the first 2 weeks of class, and then at midterms, and of course finals, final grades, issuing transcripts, and it's just a cycle. Putting up in April, getting ready for the early registration for the either spring semester or summer, fall at the same time. So all that work has to be done.
What's week 7, 8, 9?
Week 7, 8, 9 of classes. It's just kind of before, it's around the midterm time. And we're busy, but it's not as hectic as, say, right before registration.
I know that you've seen a lot of changes happen at AUS over the last 2 decades. But as a registrar, what kind of changes would you like to see at AUS?
Well, I like that we're getting more majors. I think that's wonderful. And I would like to see more majors go in and giving students more opportunity to do these internships or maybe do a work study program where it makes it more affordable to students and even for parents who are paying to maybe send their kids for a semester and let them work for a semester. And since the UAE did kind of lower the age where students can work, I think it would be something good.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been lovely having you.
Thank you. It's been so nice meeting you.
AUS Silver Jubilee Podcast, presented by the MCM Department and the College of Arts and Sciences. Silver Jubilee Podcast.